Hey there, how is it going, and welcome back to my channel. So in this video we're gonna go ahead and start working with the user registration function in this blog, so that when we come over here and hit the register button, it's gonna open up a register page and we can create a new user from our website instead of going to the back end, coming over to users and clicking on add user. So this function is gonna be really amazing, and hopefully you guys are gonna have a cool, enjoyable time watching this video and learning something new. So let's go ahead and start working with it. Now in this one, we don't want to work with our blog app any longer, so we want to create a new application that's going to handle all the user authentications, the login, the logout, the profile, the image, and all that. So we're going to create a new application for that, and I told you guys that we're going to create a couple applications in this video, and we are already doing that. So firstly, I open up a new terminal and I'm going to set it into blog projects, and in here I'm going to say python manage.py, and I'm going to say start app, and let's name this app users. So this is going to contain all the user authentication things that we need. So over here now you should see a new user pop up, and this is it. So with this now, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and open up its views.py. So we're going to open up its views.py and start working with some things. But before we do that, you remember I told you guys that whenever you create an app, you should register it in your settings.py. So you want to open up your blog project, open up your settings.py, and we want to register it over here. So it's going to be strings users.apps.users config. It's very easy. If you don't know how to do that, all you need to do is just come over here and open up your apps, and as you can see we have users config. You copy this, come over here and make sure that it's the same thing, and as you can see it's very easy. So the next thing we want to do now is go ahead and define some basic views and basic URLs, and we should be good to go. So let's open up our views.py. Let's see, not this one, not this one, not this one also. So it's gonna be this one over here. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and import what is called user creation form. So user creation form is simply a function, or let's say like a feature that Django has that automatically helps us create Django forms or behind the hood and all that. So we're going to say from Django, and let me make sure that this is on the right indentation and line that I want it to be. So we're going to say from Django.contrib.auth.forms. So from Django.contrib.auth, and that's not admin.auth.forms, we want to import user creation form. So we're going to import user creation form, and that's pretty much what we need. Now let's go ahead and define the view. So this is going to be a register view, and it's going to have a parameter of a request. So we're going to pass in a parameter of a request, and after this parameter, the next thing we want to do is just define a very simple variable form, and we're going to set it to the user creation form that we opened, that we imported over here. So this is very easy. What we're doing is just initiating the form, like the Django user creation form that it already has as a feature. And after this, what should we just do is return render. You already know how this works. Return render request, and finally we pass in a template. So this template is going to be in users/register.html, and we're going to create this in a second. We don't have this already, so users/register.html. You remember the way we created templates over here in our blog app? We created a new folder called templates, and then we created a new folder called blog. Then we started creating our templates. That's how exactly we're going to do this one. So what we want to do is come over here, right click, and come over to directory. Then we're going to type our template. So it's a new directory. Now we're going to right click again and create a new directory with the name of our app, which is users. So with this one now, this way we should create our template. So we're going to come over to HTML file, and we're going to say register.html, or you can just leave it like that. If you're using PyCharm, it automatically detects that you want to create a HTML file. So with this now, let's get rid of this here. It's not really needed. Let's just get rid of this. But what we need to do is extend from our base. You remember we're going to extend from our blog/base.html. Hopefully you remembered where we have our papa template and mama template. That was the word I was using. So with this now, we want to open up blog content. So we're going to open up blog, and let's make sure we are spelling that correct. So we're going to say blog content, and we also want to end off blog content. So we're going to say end blog content. So in here is where we want to do all our logic. So in here, the first thing I want to do is just create a div that has a class of content section. So I'm going to say .content-section, and it's automatically going to create a div for me. If you don't know how to do this, I just typed out .content/section and hit tab, then it automatically did this. If you're on a PyCharm, don't hit enter, hit tab, it should automatically do this for you. So the next thing I want to do in here is go ahead and create a form tag. So we're going to say form, and it needs a method. So the method is going to be post, and down here what we want to do is go ahead and define what is called Django Csrf token. So if you know some things about Django, you will know that whenever you are working with post forms in Django, you definitely need Django Csrf token, or else we are going to get an error. So we need to define this whenever we're working with post form in Django. So it is now, I think we are done with the functionality. Now let's just go ahead and do some basic styling. So we need a field set over here, and I want to make sure that's correctly spelled. And this field set is going to have a class of form group. So let's give it a class of form dash group, and hopefully everything should be looking good. So it is now the next line. What we want to define in there is just a legend, and this legend is also going to have a class. So I already have all this styled in my main.css file. That's why I'm just working with it like this. So we want to add a border bottom to it, and we also want to add a margin bottom of 4. And in here now, what we just want to say is join today, or let's say register now. I think join today is better. So join today. Now with this, the next thing I want to do now, go ahead and register our form. So we want to go ahead, sorry I said register, we're going to go ahead and render our form. So you want to render your form. You remember the way we use double curly brackets when we were working with our posts over here in the home.html. Hopefully you remember. So what I want to do is just call the form like this. So I'm going to say form. And another thing I want to do is come over here and make sure the field set is ended off. Now, just below the field set, I want to create another div that has a class of form group. So I'm going to say .form-group, hit tab, and it should create this for me. So in here, I want to create a button, and this button is going to also have a class of, let's say, btn-outline info here, whatever. And I think I'm going to give this ID later, so it has my own, so it will have my own styling. But for now, this is just like a Bootstrap styling, whatever. So this now we're going to say let's say sign up here, something like that. So let's say sign up. So I think we should be pretty much done, apart from the fact, let's just go ahead and see what we are doing first. But I think we need some things yet. For example, if you have gone to a register page of Facebook or Twitter, you will notice that in the register page, you will see something like already have an account, then login, or do you already have an account, then login if you have an account, and all that. So let's just go ahead and do the same thing. So just below our form, we want to create a new div, and this div is going to have border top. So we're going to say border dash top, and we're gonna hit tab, and it also need one other class, and that's gonna be padding top should be 3. Then down here I want to create small tags like that. This should also have a class of text dash muted. So these are just basic stylings for our register page. So you should have text dash muted, and in here we want to say already have an account, then we're going to create an A tag. So we're going to create an A tag, and this A tag should like redirect to the login page whenever it starts working. But for now, let's just put in login like that, and that should be pretty much what we want to do over here. Now let's go ahead and map our URLs. So you remember whenever you create a view, you need a URL for it. So we want to open up our project main urls.py. We are no longer opening this one over here. We are no longer opening this one. Rather, we are opening the one in the blog project, this main one over here. Then make sure you add a comma, and here I want to add a comment, and I'm going to say user authentication, authentications, whatever. Then the first thing I want to do is go ahead and make a path for it. So let's make a path, and it should have a string of register. So whenever we go to /register, we should see it. Now the next thing it need is the view that we defined over here. Now how do we import that here? Firstly, we need to import our views. And how do we import our views? So we're going to say from, I think it should be from, let me see, I think from users import views here, because we don't want to do something like from dot import views. We don't want to do that same thing because they are not in the same directory. So what we want to do now is say from users, we want to import views. So we want to import views as, let's say user views, whatever, and hopefully this should be working. So we're gonna say user views dot register, and that should be pretty much what we need. Then we're gonna say name should be register. So with this now, let's come over here and refresh our website, and hopefully we get no error. Now when we come over to register, what do you notice? We now have a form that says join now, join today, and it has sign up and have this already have an account login. So but our form isn't showing up, and why is that happening? So that's because over here, let's see why our form isn't showing up. So here I think we should use form and it should actually show up, but for some reasons it's not actually showing up. So let me see what's wrong. Let's see our views.py. So this is form, and okay, I think I need to pass it into the template before I actually use it. That's why it's not actually working. So if you want to pass that to the template, you just want to come over here, make a comma, and we want to open up dictionary. So in this dictionary, we're going to define a string. So this one is going to be form, and we also need form that we created. Hopefully you understand what's going on. Let me see. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we need. When we come over here now and refresh, everything should work totally fine. And as you can see, we have our register form. But since I'm really looking good over here, we're still gonna go ahead and style some things to actually look good. But firstly, let's add the paragraph method or whatever to our form. So over here that says form, we're gonna say dot as p. Now when we come over here and refresh, you see that it somewhat looks better than before. Let me show you what it looks like before. This is what it looks like, and this is what it looks like now. So it's somewhat better, but in the future we're gonna go ahead and make our form look more better. But for now, let's just stick with what we have. So if we come over here and try creating a new user, let's say we want to create a new user, Flourish, and let's say the password is going to be testing321 and testing321. Now when we click on sign up, nothing absolutely happens. So when we come over here and refresh, you see we have no user, and that's because you remember we created a view for it. Now in these views, it doesn't know what it should do with this form. It doesn't know if you should create a new user. It doesn't know if you should save a form. It doesn't know if you should reject creating a new user. So it's totally confused. It's like a baby form here. But now let's go ahead and make this form actually work. Let's go ahead and make it work. So the first thing we want to do is, let me just make sure everything's looking good. So the first thing we want to do is say if request, let's say request. So if the request.method that was used is equal to post, and what does this mean? Let me explain. So when remember in our register.html, we created a form, and this form has a method of post. So having this is get, then that means it wouldn't do anything because it's get that we are using. But now it's checking if the method that was used in that form is post, and you remember it was post that we added over there. Now if it's post, what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and say form should be equals to user creation form. Exactly the same thing that we did over here, but now we are going to do more things that are, like say, that are complex. For example, we're going to request whatever that's passed into the form. So with a request.post in parentheses, we're going to request the username, the password confirmation. We're going to request for every single thing that was passed into the form. Now after that, what I just want to do is check for if the form is valid. So if form dot is valid, for example, if the username actually met the requirement, if the password and this one are the same, if they match, or if they contain its characters and all that, meaning that it's valid. But for example, let's say what was here was 1 2 3 and what was here was 2 3 4. That means they are not valid. So we actually want to check if it's valid. So if it's valid, what do we want to do? Firstly, let's start by getting the username. So we're going to get the username that the user imputed in here, and we want to use it and do something really fun. So we're going to say username is equal to form.cleaned-data.get. Just follow along with what I'm doing, .get, and we want to get the username just like that. So we're getting the username. Now what else do we want to do? We just want to define an else. So if the method that was used isn't post, let's say it's get, let's just render a blank form, and we're not going to do anything again. So with this, now let's come over here and refresh this page. So refresh this page, refresh here, nothing shows up here. Now we say Flourish, let's add another password, add this again, testing321, and click on sign up. Now nothing happens. We come over here, refresh, nothing happens, but actually it got the username that we are using. Now how do you know that it got the username? That's because because we actually wrote down this code over here, but physically looking at it, you wouldn't know that it's got a username. Now let's go ahead and do something that's gonna make you know that it's got a username. So what you want to do is display, or let's say you want to send a flash message. So if you're really good with front end, let's say you're an advanced person watching this video, or let's say you're a beginner but you have the idea of what flash messages are, you would notice that when you create a new account on a website and click on register, it brings you to the home page, or let's say the login page, and says something like, hey, account registered, login now, in a very simple light green form that identifies success. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying, but if you don't understand, let's go ahead and work with that. Hopefully you're gonna understand what I want to do. So firstly, let's import messages. So we're gonna say from Django.contrib, we want to import messages just like that, and I think that should be what we need. And also import redirect, we're still gonna use it. So with this now, that should be pretty much what we need. Now down here, you remember that we got the username. We got this username over here of the user. Let's say the username is Flourish. Well, now we are holding the username with this line of code over here. So what's the next thing we want to do? Now the next thing we want to do is just go ahead and say message. We want to say messages that success, and messages is success. In here, it's going to take in a request firstly, and it's going to take an F formatted string. And in this F formatted string, what we want to pass in is something like account successfully created, account successfully created for, then we're going to pass in the name of the user that it's got. So remember, we use this variable over here, username, to store the username that we got from this form, and now we are passing it in here. So since it's Flourish, it's gonna say message.success, account successfully created for Flourish. So with this now, it should work fine, but it needs to go to somewhere. So after we create an account, now we need to go to somewhere, let's say like the home page or wherever. And in order to do that, we're gonna say return redirect, and we're gonna pass in blog home. So we want to go to the home whenever we create an account. So let's refresh this now, and so we refresh this and nothing is going to work here. That's because we are not yet displaying this flash message in our template. So we want to open up our template, which is base.html. So let me just go ahead and look for it. It should be somewhere here and somewhere here. So I think this is where we want to create it. Let's just create them over here at the top of this place. Now the first thing we want to do is just go ahead and create a div. So in this div, that's where we're going to have all the messages in it. So what you want to do is just say call-md-8, hit tab if you're on PyCharm IDE. Now the next thing I want to say is check if there are messages. So if actually any message want to come in, so we're going to say if messages. Now we want to make sure that we are ending off this div over here, or else, sorry, we are ending the if, or else we might get an error that might be difficult to debug. So with this now, let's loop over all the messages. So we're gonna say for message in messages. Now what do we want to do for messages? Make sure that you are ending this off, do not forget. So we're gonna say end for, and let's just take this forward a bit and come down here, indent just like that. So I also want to indent this here. I think it's way too big now. Yes, I think that's okay. So in here, what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and create a new div. So this new div is finally where our alerts is going to be stored. So we're going to say div just like that, and this div is going to have a class of alert. So this Bootstrap, now we are supposed to pass in something like alert.success, but we automatically want to detect what type of alert it is. We automatically want to detect if it's a success alert, if it's a danger alert, if it's like a warning alert or something like that. We automatically want to detect it. So what we want to do is open up curly brackets like that, double curly brackets, and in it we're gonna say message. Just follow along. So we're gonna say message.tags, and hopefully you understand what's going on. So with this now, let's just come down here in the div, then we're gonna open double curly brackets again, and we're gonna pass in messages, or I think it's message, it should be message here. Yeah, so with this now, let's come over here and refresh our website, and as you can see, it says account successfully created for Flourish, and hopefully you get the idea of what we're trying to do now. This is not looking good at all. We are still supposed to add some stylings to this, but at least you get a point of what we are trying to do. So let's create a new account for somebody else, and hopefully you understand. So let's say we want to create an account for Jane, and the password is going to be testing321 testing. Let me make sure that's correct. Testing321. Now when we hit the sign up, you see it says account successfully created for Jane, and it brings us to the blog page. So back to our database, if you refresh this, what do you notice? No users are in here, and that's because we are not saving our form. So in our views.py, all we need to do is, after the form is valid, so provided that the passwords match, the username meets the requirements and all that, we just want to do form dot save. So with this now, it should save all any user that will register. So let's come over here and register a new user. So we're gonna say /register. Now let's say we want to register Caesar. Yeah, let's say we want to register Caesar, and let's say the password is gonna be testing321 testing321, and click on sign up. So as you can see, it says account successfully created for Desphixs. Is that Desphixs or Caesar? Okay, I think it's automatically went back to Desphixs. So when you refresh now, you see we get Desphixs over here. Let's create one more user. So I want to create one more user, and this is going to be Caesar, just like that. This is going to be Caesar. Let's change this back to Caesar, and over here it's going to be testing321. So we click on sign up, and as you can see, it says account successfully created for Caesar, and that's looking really amazing. So with this now, when we refresh our database, you see we have Caesar, we have Desphixs, and that's really, really awesome. But do you notice anything? Destiny over here has an email, but Desphixs has no email, Caesar has no email. So if we want to give them an email, we have to just manually come in here and manually give them an email like that. So that's really gonna be annoying. Let's say we have over 500,000 users in our application. Do we want to manually give them emails? No, we want them to actually have the opportunity to create their own email from here. But how do we do that? So that's something that we have to work on. Now I think we should just go ahead and start working with this now. So in order to do that, you want to come over here. So let's just come over here and let's close off all this folders, directories that we have open. Let's open this one up. So in here, we want to create a new Python file. So the name of this one is going to be forms, and it's just going to be forms like that. And in here, we want to import forms. So we're going to say from Django dot, I think important from is just from Django. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Now the next thing we want to do is import the user. So we're going to say from Django dot contrib dot auth dot models import user. Now finally we want to import the user creation form. So you remember it's from django.contrib.auth.forms, I think. Yeah, oh yes, that's it. Import user creation form. So that's pretty much what we need. Next what we're going to do is go ahead and define a new class, and this is going to be user. This is going to be user register. Let's say user register form. Yeah, yes, and it should inherit from models.model, but this is not going to work because this is forms.py. That means it should inherit from the user creation form that we imported above. So with this now, I think we should be good to go. Now the next thing we want to do is just define an email field. So we're going to say email field is equals to form.email field, just like that, and everything should work fine. Now we also want to define a class meta so that we can query the database that we want to use, and also specify certain fields. So we're gonna say model. So we're gonna say model should be equal to user, and also we're gonna say fields. Take note, it's fields and not field. So fields is gonna be equal to, firstly we need the username. We also need I think we also need email. Yes, so we need email. What else do we need? We need password 1. What else? We need password 2. So password 1 is the enter password, password 2 is confirm password. So with this now, I think we should be pretty done. Let's just go ahead and replace all the instance of user creation form in our views.py with user register form. So let's make sure that we are importing it over here. So we're gonna say I think down here should be good. So we're gonna say from dot forms. So from .forms, we want to import user register form, just like that. Now we're going to copy this and replace all the instance of user creation form with user register form. So with this now, when we come over here and refresh, everything is working fine. But when we refresh now, you see we get an email field. So let's say you want to add a first name field, a last name field, any field that you want. That's exactly how you're going to do it. So let's create a new user. Let's say we want to create a new user, Tom, and let's say we're going to give him Tom at 123.com, whatever. Then let's say you want a password of testing321 and another password of testing321. So this now when we hit sign up, what do you notice? It says account successfully created for Tom. Now when we come over here and refresh, you see we now have Tom, and notice what? He also has an email address. So that's really amazing. I think that's some feature that you should consider having, which is awesome. Now our form over here is not looking good in my case. We want to use what is called crispy forms to style it. So crispy forms is just like a Bootstrap form, something like that. So this will allow us to put some simple form in our template, like a simple styling in our template that will just style our form in a Bootstrap way. Yeah, something like that. You should just allow us put a simple styling in our template, and it's gonna help us style our form in a Bootstrap way. Hopefully you understand. And firstly, to do this, we want to install crispy forms. So we're gonna open up our terminal and we're gonna say pip install crispy forms. So let me just open up my terminal. So open up your PyCharm, and over here you're gonna say pip install crispy forms and hit enter on your keyboard. Okay, and as you can see, we have installed the Django crispy form over here, and it says successfully installed Django crispy form. So this is like an app, and what we want to do is just come over to our settings.py, then register it in our installed app section. So let's locate our settings.py in the blog project, and this is it over here. You want to open up settings.py, then down here that says own, you want to add a string, then add crispy. So it's crispy underscore forms, yeah, just like that. And take note of the pronunciation of crispy. It's not crispy, it's crispy, because I always mistake that a lot when I was starting out using crispy forms. So after this, the next thing I want to do is load a Bootstrap template pack, and in order to do that, you just want to come down here, and if crispy form doesn't see this, it's not going to work perfectly fine. So you just want to make sure that you are loading this pack over here at the bottom. And for now, we're going to use Bootstrap 4. So for the time of this video, Bootstrap 4 is still a new active Bootstrap. If you are looking to do something like this with crispy form, let's say you are watching this video from the future, then make sure to upgrade to whatever Bootstrap that they are using then or now. Yeah, now, okay, whatever. So this now, the next thing we want to do is go over to our register.html, and this is it over here. And you remember we were saying form.asp, and let me open up our website where we have this. And as you can see over here, let's go over to /register, and as you can see, we have all this form over here, and they were like aligned because I use this ASP over here. So if I get rid of this ASP, come over here and refresh, you see the way they are looking. But now I want to use a pipe, then I'm going to say crispy. I think it's just crispy like that, yeah. So with that, crispy. Now the next thing we want to do is load crispy. So we're going to load crispy before we actually do anything. So let's just open up double curly brackets or braces. Then in there, we want to say load crispy underscore forms underscore tags. So take note of the spelling crispy underscore forms underscore tag. Now let's come over here and refresh, and what do you notice? It says template syntax error at /register. So it says extend loads extends blog based on HTML must be first in tag template. Okay, it's very simple. They say this is supposed to be the first one in the template, and they should be working fine. So this now, what do you notice with our template? As you can see, it's looking really nice. So this is all we just had to add. We added this, and this is how it was looking really bad. Then we added this now, and as you can see, it took a whole lot of new shape here. Now you can easily identify errors. For example, let's say we want to register a user, register an email. We don't need anything there, and let's just say at 123. Then password, we just added anything. Over here we just added anything and hit the sign up button. So as you can see now, it says a user with a username already exists and enter a valid email address, and finally it says the two password fields then match. So now you can easily identify what your error is just by scrolling down and seeing the red bars showing up over here. So I think that's pretty much it for Django Crispy Forms, and hopefully you learned something from it. So if you want to go through it again, let me just take you guys and explain what I did. So firstly, I said pip install Django Crispy Form over here in my terminal, and this is it. Pip install Django Crispy Forms. Then after it got installed, I came over to my settings.py, came over to the installed app section. This is it over here. Then you remember we created this. If you've been following along from the first video, this is just basically where our apps are, and this doesn't make any sense. I'm just trying to differentiate our apps from the already created apps. So with this now, we then registered the crispy_forms app. So with this, that's all we had to do here, apart from the fact that we are supposed to load a Bootstrap pack for Django Crispy Forms to actually work perfectly fine. Then we came under, or let's say to the last line of our codes, then we added crispy_template_pack. Then we assigned the Bootstrap to it, and I say that at the time of recording this video, that this is still a valid version of Bootstrap. Let's say you're watching this video from the future, then do make sure to upgrade to whatever Bootstrap that has been used there. Okay, so with this, I think that's pretty much it. Then we got all this over here that actually looks nice. And you remember when we're using just form, it looks really bad, but with this now, everything looks really nice, and we can easily identify the errors from the one that doesn't have any error. So that's pretty much it for this video, and hopefully you enjoyed it and learned something new. And if you did, do not forget to drop a like on this video, consider subscribing, and also comment your thoughts about what I did in this video. And I hope I'll see you in the next one, and you don't want to miss the next one, because in that one we're gonna go ahead and make the logouts, the login authentication, and it's gonna be really awesome. But in the meantime, my love, peace out.